Welcome to Whiskey is a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano, and you guys are watching my part 3 of my top 5 beginner bourbons. If you guys have been following this series, you know over the course of a couple of months, I've been introducing a group of friends to the world of whiskey. I've introduced bourbons, Scotch, Irish, and some wheated bourbons and some wheated whiskeys. I've gone through a series of multiple flights, part 1, part 2, and now part 3. Each time I'm trying to elevate their taste buds. I'm trying to elevate their education. I'm introducing them to a lot of different types of whiskeys with a whole bunch of different flavor profiles. And hopefully by this time, their palates are going to start to be able to distinguish the difference between possibly different distilleries. Their tolerance of ABV is now starting to lower a little bit. So they're actually starting to pick out more and more from each of these whiskeys as the ABVs start to elevate. And today's criteria is pretty much the same, but I'm going to include bourbons that are less than $100, but over 100 proof. Obviously, they all have to be in my collection, so I can't serve something to them that I don't have. Nothing is allocated. These should be things that are seen on shelves in big box stores. So with all that, let's go ahead and get on to bottle number 1. Immediately, I'm going to be testing them. This is going to be Still Austin. This is coming out of Texas. 118 proof, that's 59% ABV, and I paid just around $50 for this one. Still Austin cask strength is aged at least 2 years, and it's a certified Texas whiskey. And I do believe Nancy the Nose Fraley had something to do with blending this. And on the nose, we're getting substantial ABV. You get hit with that ethanol, but there is a lot of darkness in here. Heavy, woody, wood tarnish, dark fruits, all the while still maintaining those typical bourbons. You get the dark brown sugar, caramel, vanilla, and along with that, I'm also getting some red fruits in here, red apples and cherries. And when we're taking a look at the mash bill of this, we're looking at 70% white non-GMO corn, 25% rye, and a 5% what they call it, wildfire malted barley. I think it's a pretty good way to kick off the night. All right, moving on to bottle 2. I don't think any flight would be complete without this bottle. Wild Turkey Rare Breed Barrel Proof. This is 116.8 proof, 58.4% ABV, $52.99 in Phoenix, Arizona. A mash bill of 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% barley. And this is the Still Austin. It's very noticeable. Let's try the Wild Turkey here. Oh yeah, much, much different. You get rye spice, vanilla, and cinnamon. That rye spice shows through. You still get all of those classic bourbon flavors with the vanilla, caramel, and brown sugar. I get a little bit more of a spice on this than I do a sweetness, but the sweetness is still there. Jimmy Russell being the master distiller, this does not have an age statement to it, but right here on the bottle, we're saying that there is a number 4 char, and I think that char is really showing through that barrel influence. You do get that, I don't want to say toasted, but you get a barrel char, and that higher rye content is pretty noticeable, and you do have that spice to it. And hopefully, as you're going through all of these different flights and you're talking about master distillers, master blenders, hopefully your group is starting to recognize names. Moving right along to a profile that might be the most recognizable within the flights that we've been doing. Old Forester 1920, coming in at 115 proof, 57.5% ABV, and I paid $54.99. And when I talk about Brown-Forman profile, I'm talking about Bananas Foster. You get that vanilla cream, banana, almost like a banana split with cherries in it. A little bit of nuttiness. There's no mistake. There are 3 whiskeys that have this kind of profile. It's the Old Forester, the Jack Daniels, and the 1792. Mash bill on this one is coming in at 72% corn, 18% rye, and 10% malted barley. This one on the palate, everything that's on the nose also shines through on the palate. You get a blast of the ABV followed by that really good sweetness of a banana split. And then once it sits on the palate for a little while, the spice radiates, that ABV or that ethanol starts to radiate. It's absolutely fantastic. Old Forester is probably one of my favorite profiles. And that puts me at halfway through this flight. So do me a favor, let me know in the comments down below if you are trying to increase your friends' palates as you're going through a couple of months, what would be a final flight that you would put together to actually challenge them with higher ABVs? I'd be really interested to hear what you guys would put together for your friends before they actually started going out into the world and started making their own decisions on the bourbons that they're going to buy. All right, bottle number 4. Now we're getting into sourced whiskey. And when we talk about sourced whiskey, one of the popular ones is going to be MGP or Ross and Squibb. And this company does a really, really good job with it. Coming out of Nevada, we're looking at the Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered. This is coming in at 115.36 proof, 57.68% ABV. At the time that I purchased this, it was $75. Mash bill's coming in at 60% corn, 36% rye, 4% malted barley. So we're looking at a pretty high rye mash bill here. On the nose, we're getting all of those really good classic bourbon notes: vanilla, brown sugar, caramel, followed by cherry. On the palate, more of the same. I think this one comes in a little bit hot, but nothing too overpowering that's going to overshadow the rye spice, the vanilla, the caramel, and the brown sugar. This does not have an age statement, but it is bottled by Nevada H&C. And the longer that this one sits on the palate, that high rye really shines through. All right, moving on to bottle 5. Now we have a multiple sourced whiskey brand. We're looking at Bourbon Batch number 34. This one is 114.62 proof, 57.31% ABV. I paid $86.99, and we're looking at the source distilled in Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee. Bottled by Barrelcraft Spirits. This is age stated for 6 years on the bottle, but it also has 8, 10, and 15-year-old barrels in here. On the nose, we get some really good dark brown sugars, good amount of spice, and the sweetness that I'm getting, I would equate to a dark fruit. On the palate, dark fruit sweetness, I get a little bit of cinnamon and also a cola note. I think these guys do a really good job of blending their whiskeys. The common theme in most of these whiskeys that we have tonight are classic. Good deep brown sugars, the caramels, the vanillas, and then the hint of spice and the fruit sweetness. They all have that in common, but each of them in their own way does it quite different. And each time that difference is actually really, really good. All right, so the only thing left is going to be the 6th special bottle to finish off the flight. And I can't think of a more special bottle that I have in my collection that's going to cap off this whole bourbon series other than a Buffalo Trace product that I was lucky enough to acquire through having points from Total Wine & More. And that's going to be a George T. Stag Uncut Unfiltered. I ended up paying $159 for this. My name was selected along with probably 100 other people, and this is coming in at 138.7 proof, 69.35% ABV. By far, well, not by far, but this is the highest ABV bourbon that I have in my collection. Distilled by Buffalo Trace, and everything that you like in a bourbon is in this glass, elevated 100%. Oak, fruit, spice, vanilla, brown sugar, caramel, everything. Kicked up with the ABV, good amount of cherry, good amount of fruit sweetness. You get a grapey, jammy type note in here as well. I think that's pretty classic with Buffalo Trace products. This is just so good. I truly don't have anything bad to say about this with the exception of the availability. This is just an all-around fantastic bourbon. And again, I can't think of a better way to finish off the night and finish off the series other than this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What would your 5 bourbons be, and what would your very special bottle be if you were going to now finish this up and send your friends out into the world and hopefully start having them put together flights of their own? I hope you guys have enjoyed this series. I'm not finished just yet. I still need to go through my Scotch, my Irish, and my final wheated bourbons. If you're new here and you've made it this far, like, subscribe, share, comment down below, do all those things that YouTubers ask you to do. And I guess with all that being said, I'm going to sit back, relax, and enjoy the pours that I have. And until next time, enjoy your journey. We'll talk to you later. Yeah, that's just all sorts of special right there.